Alabama is absolutely humiliated in Atlanta. Will they also be feeling this tomorrow? Will they be left out of the playoffs?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me, Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. I want to thank you every day for joining us every day because you've helped make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the country, and we appreciate you as we're a part of that. Even though we are unhappy right now, Georgia beat Alabama's butt. I mean, slapped them around. Even the one drive Alabama had seemed fluky. I mean, it was just a butt whipping from start to finish. And the #1 question, Jimmy, and we can answer it, more thoroughly as the podcast goes along. Do you think we're still in tomorrow? My answer, yes, at number 10, and we scrape by and get in. We open up with Texas A&M. Your answer?
I don't think Alabama will be in. I think they're going to avoid their Notre Dame-Miami controversy by including both Notre Dame and Miami and get out of that controversy. I think Alabama's butt whipping was severe enough that they'll use that as the excuse to deviate from what had been precedent, because there's precedent for leaving Alabama in because of what happened to SMU last year. Teams that have lost conference championship games have never fallen more than one spot. I think they will use the extent of the butt whipping to break precedent. And no, I don't expect Alabama to be in. Now, I will say this. If Alabama's not in, I think Greg Sankey burns the whole thing down. I think there will be an SEC, not an Alabama reaction, doesn't matter, because Alabama is just one of 135 teams. I think the SEC reaction will be massive and loud. Greg Sankey will absolutely throw a fit, and it will affect future formats, scheduling, perhaps whether even an SEC title game exists going forward. That's sort of what I foresee happening. Alabama not in, Sankey burning it all down. For fear of Sankey burning it all down, maybe they leave Alabama in because that's what's coming. But
well,
a terrible performance by Alabama, which needs to be the focus of tonight. There was a lot of reasons for them to play poorly because the team is beat up and injured more than most people know. It's a really injured, beat up team. But I'm going to go on another rant about that a little later about how Alabama didn't use that to their advantage. The world doesn't know that. And the committee needs to know. The committee needs to know that Alabama will be fine if you give them about 2 weeks to rest. They'll be fine. But they weren't fine, and it's been a closely guarded CIA secret in terms of the way they do it, and I think that may hurt them too.
Maybe. A couple other things. I was trying not to go down the rabbit hole of the decision of if we're in or not. But, that's kind of all this is. I hate feeling this way. I'm going to tell y'all something. I hate getting my butt kicked, obviously. But I never hurt in this game. All I kept saying was, hey, if we just lose by 14 points, we're a lock. That's what I was feeling. And I was like, I'm not worried about it. And I hate that because I love the SEC championship game. But it's never going to be the same because of what we've done to it. That's being number 1. The other point I think Greg Sankey and everybody would make is, so schedules don't matter. So at SEC, get rid of all your tough scheduling games. And again, people saying Alabama doesn't deserve to be in. I get that. But see, Jimmy and I were on the train of you only need 4 teams. So in which case Alabama wouldn't even be a threat. Maybe even if they had won tonight, they wouldn't be in. So I'm fine with that. But because they do let probably about 4 to 5 good teams or great teams and then a bunch of dented soup cans in, I want to be one of the soup cans. That's all I'm saying. So it's just like last year. And it would be ironic if last year they were like, well, we can't punish SMU for playing in the title game and Alabama gets screwed. And then this year's, Alabama looked like crap in the title game and then Alabama gets screwed. So it'd be 2 in a row. But again, Jimmy and I.
That's a great point you're making there. And totally true if it works out that way. Alabama, screwed by the first precedent they set, and then completely screwed by when they unprecedented. I mean, that's 100% true and a great point, but I still am expecting it to happen.
So let's talk about the game, though. I know so just to reiterate, I think we'll get in by the skin of our teeth at number 10 tomorrow. I'm not saying we can win a national championship. I don't know that we can win game 1. So put that to the side. I'm just saying criterion for getting in. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But tonight, Ty Simpson, I can't believe we didn't make a change, frankly. I think we needed one. I think, frankly, Kalen DeBoer missed a golden opportunity to make a change and really get people behind him, because that team looked very ill prepared. A friend of mine who, and somebody said Luke is an idiot. Of course I am, but it's not because of what I just said. It's a whole bunch of litany of other things. So get that out of your head. Anyway, so a friend of mine's wife who never watches football, he texted me and said, she knew, I won't even say her name because it'd be so obvious who it is. But she said, it looked like one team practiced and one team didn't. What the hell did we do? Because here's the other thing. It wasn't like Georgia ate our lunch offense. They didn't have 500 yards offense. We held them below 300 yards. No. And, so, yeah, at the end, the defense got whooped a little bit on the running game. I don't blame them. They were tired as heck. The offense stunk. And I'm going to put – you and I have been on the Ty Simpson train. We have been. Tonight was about enough to make me go, I was wrong. He was really, really bad. Not kind of bad. Really bad. The decision making, the panicky, the look in his eyes, all of it was bad. That fourth down throw when we're deep in our own territory, and whether or not you agree with going for it then is another thing. I probably would have punted.
I'm going to rant on that in one moment.
I would have punted. The buddy next to me said, yeah, I think we got to go. I think it's 6 and 1/2 dozen another. But the play, if that was the call, then it's on the coaches, but also a terrible throw. And if that's just Ty making that decision, that is a sittable offense.
As to the fourth down players, a couple of things that I'm really upset about the coaching staff, and I rarely am, but I certainly am. There's a couple of things that I'm kind of furious about in terms of coaching decisions that were made. One was that fourth down decision. I thought it was tone deaf as to the playoff, tone deaf. They made that decision to go for it on fourth down from your own 8-yard line. In other words, handing Georgia 7 points if you don't make it. You're handing them 28-7, thinking that they're just in the playoff and that discussion's over. It wasn't. If you punt and if you just punt, Georgia showed they had no interest in running up the score. They showed that at the end. They started taking a knee with 2 minutes left. Kirby trying to do a solid, not for Alabama, for the league to try to get 5 teams in. Kalen was the one not trying to get 5 teams in. I think that decision to go for it on fourth down was tone deaf as to the playoff. Now, if they make it, I'll walk it back. But I don't believe they will. And I think that 7 points was really loud.
It was very loud.
It was very
loud. Here's another thing. But I'll say this. They had an opportunity to stop them and make them kick a field goal. And somehow, some way, we gave up a Zachariah Branch touchdown on a play that should have easily been stopped.
Now, that's true. That's true, but I'm not going to lash out at the defense tonight.
No, I'm not either. I'm just saying.
They held Georgia under 300 yards. At no point did Georgia get the ball on their own 20-yard line and drive the ball 80 yards and score. All of Georgia's points came from Alabama's complete offense ineptness and special teams disasters. Again, very similar to Oklahoma. Similar to Oklahoma in the sense that the offense was so bad in terms of helping the other team, and the special teams was a disaster. Again, defense was fine. The defense actually played well enough to win the football game. You held Georgia to under 300 yards. They never drove the length of the field to score. You held them out of some pretty bad situations. Yeah, they did give up the play to Zachariah Branch, and that particular snap wasn't great. But I give the defense high marks. They came to play. They were intense. They were pretty good. The offense was really, really bad, and special teams was equally bad.
Got to go to break in a second, but Gregory Dover 1747 says, "Come on, Luke. Partly Ty's fault, but the O-line gives him no time. At some point, you need to acknowledge that." I think it's fine to acknowledge that. I think you also have to acknowledge Cam Dewberry. I don't even know if he ever played. Parker Brailsford was on the injury report. Ty Simpson.
He wasn't on the injury report, but that's a good example of what I was talking about earlier about how we should have been, and we should have been talking.
I thought he was questionable. Okay.
No. He was never on the injury report all week. He should have been, and we should have been talking about in the media that he's hurt, Ty's hurt, Germ didn't play last week, Ryan's had a hamstring all year. We should have been talking about that stuff to let the committee know that in 2 weeks we might be totally healthy. But instead, we keep it all guarded like it's a CIA secret. Again, they're sort of, in my mind, kind of tone deaf as to what the committee needs to hear.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I hate to do the poor mouthing stuff. And again, for the people saying, "I can't believe y'all think we should be in the playoffs," I'm saying they're not 12 teams that deserve to be in the playoffs. But if you're going to put undeserving teams in, put us in. I mean, our resume is better. If you're having recency bias, if you just look at this game and say Alabama sucks, I mean, we have better wins than Notre Dame. We have better wins in Miami. We have better wins in Vanderbilt. We beat Vanderbilt. So that's what I'm going at. But I do need to get to our first break here, Jimmy. Talk a little FanDuel. Hey, look, man, I hope you had FanDuel open and playing during this game. I just hope you took the under on everything Alabama. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money line, they adjust instantly at FanDuel. Player props update as guys heat up, all that stuff. So if you want to be right in the middle of action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. Jimmy Stein guarantee. So going back to the tie, I mean, I had a tweet, and it was kind of funny. I had a tweet right before half, and I was like, boy, I wonder if anybody's ever made a halftime adjustment by switching a quarterback against Georgia and had success with it. And I said it, if you had heard me say it, you would know I was sarcastic. But most of the people that read it on Twitter were like, what are you, a moron? Yeah, of course we did it in 2017. I was like, that was kind of my point. But I'm going to tell you the truth, Jimmy, I would have made a quarterback change. And then I clearly would have made one after the first drive of the second half. Holy cow. Ty, look, you and I have talked about this anxiety he has. And it felt like he had gotten over it in the mid-game stretch we went on where we looked awesome. He's not over it. I really like Ty Simpson. I think he's a great human being. I would have definitely sat him down in this game. And it's my opinion, we better get another quarterback ready to play in the playoffs if we make it.
Back to the playoff thing. One thing where I disagree, I think more than 12 teams deserve to be in the playoff. I think Vanderbilt deserves a spot. I think Miami may deserve a spot. Texas may deserve a spot. Alabama deserves a spot. I mean, if it's up to me and I'm doing it, Alabama's in. I mean, Alabama, because this should be about your resume over the course of the whole season and not being dinged for qualifying to play in the SEC championship game. So it's up to me. I put Alabama in. I think they should be in. I just have zero confidence that the committee will see it the same way. I think they might try to avoid their Notre Dame Miami problem by putting both of them in. And I think, quite frankly, it's absurd that Miami will make it, losing to two non-top 25 teams. Alabama just lost to what I think is probably the best team, if not the best team, the second best team. That's who Alabama lost to. Miami lost to SMU and Louisville and didn't even play in the ACC championship game. And you know who's playing in that game? 5-loss Duke. Miami finished behind them. But I think they're going to get in. That's what my worry and concern is. Would I put Alabama in? Absolutely. Alabama should be the 10 seed and in. I just don't have any confidence that will be the case. But I also think that Vanderbilt has a better case than Miami. I would put Vanderbilt in over Miami. I would consider putting Texas over Miami, maybe the Florida loss. But that's just one loss outside the top 25. Miami's got 2. To tie, I get that, and I get that a lot of people want to make a change, and I'm not saying I didn't want to make a change because Ty was truly bad tonight. Alabama had no chance to win tonight because of poor play from the quarterback position. Just everyone has to realize quarterback's not like the other positions. In the NFL, when the starter doesn't play well at all, do they make a change? No. In college football, most of the time when the established starter doesn't play well, do they make a change? No. This is why. It's the nuclear option. It's not like the other spots. If you took Ty out, Ty was done. Ty was done at Alabama. It was done. It's a nuclear decision. It's not like, boy, our outside linebacker got beat on 5 consecutive plays. Let's play Justin Hill. It's not like that at the quarterback spot. And secondly, when Alabama did bench Jalen Hurts for Tua, that's because Tua had proved in practice he might be better than the starter. Everyone going to practice was like, hey, Tua's probably better than Jalen and maybe needs to be playing. That just hasn't been the case at Alabama. There hasn't been like a contested situation. It's not like Ty was barely holding off the other guys. I don't think the established starter is ever benched. It happens so rarely. Yet when the starter plays bad, everybody wants to replace him. It's not the reality of what almost always happens unless the number 2 guy is basically a 1B and the quarterback's 1A. And that's not the case at Alabama right now.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. And it could have been a nuclear thing, but maybe we needed a nuclear thing. I mean, Jimmy, the one drive we had, the best play, Ty hits Germ, and Germ makes maybe the best pass of the night, hitting Daniel Hill on, I guess, a lateral, and Daniel Hill gets up the field. Ty's best throw of the night, actually his 2 best throws, were drops by the receivers. First,
there were a lot of drops.
Well, he had a beautiful pass to Ryan Williams, and Ryan Williams, you got to make that catch. I'm sorry.
Ryan would drop one in the end zone. Jeremy Bernard dropped one in the end zone. That's 14.
Jeremy's I can live with because it was like kind of tipped.
It was tipped, but it hit him in the 5. Yeah, and I know it's a tough catch. I know it's hard. Even Ryan's catch was tough. I say this all the time about college receivers. Me and Luke can run around and catch perfectly thrown balls while we're wide open. Me and Luke can, and we're 100 years old. You're playing wide receiver at the highest level because you can do things no one else can. You're capable of doing things that walking around people just can't do. And I know they're tough catches. Jeremy's got to make that catch. Ryan's got to make that catch. That's 14. That puts you in the playoff, even if you lose the game.
It was really bad, and just a thorough butt kick. And again, congratulations to Georgia. Y'all kicked our asses. That's the only thing I can say. And I'm not going to make an excuse. Anything I say at this point forward, I want to be clear. It's just me trying to figure out what we can do.
All due credit to Georgia. They may be the best team in the country. The best team in the country or the second best team. Eager to find out whether that's Georgia or Ohio State. Certainly not Alabama. Georgia's fantastic. One last rant before I forget about it. The last 15 seconds of the first half, that was just dumb. They got Ty hit and hurt. By the way, Ty limped off the field.
That was so stupid.
Ty limped off the field. You're backed up with 15 seconds left. What could possibly – and then they're just throwing the ball in the middle of the field to Marshall Pritchett. That's the play. And for that reason, you risk Ty getting hit in the end zone and hurt, which is what Ty limped off the – that was dumb. That was dumb. That wasn't like ill-conceived. That was dumb. And unfortunately, Alabama did too many dumb things tonight.
Yeah, we did a lot of dumb things. Well, I mean, it can be a reflection of your coach, right? And a reflection of your quarterback. Let me tell you 2 plays to me, and I don't remember exactly where they were in a game. I didn't make a marking of it, but I think everybody will know. Every time Gunnar Stockton ran the ball, whether it was a design or a scramble or whatever, he dove forward for yards. When we needed Ty Simpson to get a first down, now we got a first down because I think we hit Caleb Edwards for a first down, but it was 3rd and 2 at the 50, and Ty scrambling around, and he slides feet first a yard short of the first down. and I screamed at the television. Granted, Ty, look, I'm not the one out there getting hit by strong future NFL 21-year-olds. I get it. But that comes with the territory. You're making a bunch of money at Alabama now. You've got to go get that first down. You need Gunnar Stockton's mentality right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how much Ty being banged up had an effect
True.
on tonight. Not trying to make an excuse. It's not an excuse. If you're playing, then play at a high level. If you're playing, then play at a high level. It didn't happen. Alabama's offense tonight was, I mean, I give out grades all the time. That was an F. That was an F. It gave Alabama no chance at all to win the game. I thought the plan was bad. I thought the quarterback play was bad. For all the fans all season long that said the answer to Alabama's prayers at running back and would save the running game was A.K. Deer, wrong. And I'm not being negative on A.K. Deer. He's going to be a great player at Alabama. But it wasn't the running backs. It wasn't that. It's a bunch of things, but it wasn't the running backs. A.K. had several opportunities, and it didn't work well at all. But the offense as a whole, the plan, the blocking, Ty, the drops, that offensive performance was an absolute F on the big stage, and it may have cost Alabama a playoff spot, along with the special teams, which I think for the second time this year directly led to a loss.
Yeah. And again, I go back. Ty's not the only one to blame here. Ty, because he's a quarterback, is going to catch a lot of heat. And frankly, he did a lot of things to catch heat. Okay. But the coaching staff did them no favors. They were ill prepared for this. I don't even like Grubb being on the sideline. I would have loved Grubb to be up top, at least try something. But I'm with the A.K. Deer thing. I get your point. I want people to understand your point that you're not blaming A.K. Deer.
No.
What you were saying is we've got a much bigger running game problem.
A lot of people thought we were just playing the wrong
Sanders
back.
can't solve it.
Yeah, a lot of people thought we were just playing the wrong back. We're not playing the best players. That's what people thought was the problem with the run game, and that was never the case. And I hope tonight kind of proved that. But it has nothing to do with A.K. Deer. He's going to be great. I even think he showed some things tonight that gets me excited about him in the future. But he's a true freshman, and that's just
okay. I'm not going to read all the comments. I mean, a lot of comments coming in. We appreciate all you watching and commenting. And I promise you, I'm trying to read as many as I can. James Stanford says, Luke, UA will not be better next week. Ha, ha, ha. The UAOL is the worst in the conference. The UAO is broken. And I guess he's calling me Hoss. But listen, we're not.
Offense may be broken, but it's not the worst offensive line.
It's not the worst offensive line in the league. And let me also say this. We also are dealing with some injuries. Hey, you're making excuses. Georgia kicked our ass no matter what. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling it like it is.
Another word for excuse. You know what another word for excuse is? Reason.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And here's the other thing, Jimmy.
Couldn't even really play last week. Gino Vandermark had to play for Cam Dewberry. And I'm not saying I'm not using it as an excuse. If you're playing, you have to play at a high level. But it wasn't Alabama's first team offensive line, all 100% healthy. And I don't believe Alabama has anywhere near the worst offensive line league. Is it good enough? Oh, heck no. Heck no, it's not good enough. And again, not excuses, but Parker's hurt. Gino had to play for Cam Dewberry. Michael Carroll's still a true freshman. Mm-hmm. Right tackle got called for a penalty tonight. Has to block that 33 freak for Georgia who was unbelievable.
Here's another thing. For those who say, oh, you don't even deserve to be in the playoff. If Alabama does get them, let me say this. If Alabama does get in the playoffs, and again, I think they will, whether you think they deserve to or not is irrelevant, because we have to have 12 teams. And somebody like a James Madison or a Tulane is getting in, and you can't tell me with a straight face they should be anywhere near the playoffs. So put this to the side. If Alabama does get in, it looks like for all the world the first round game will be against A&M. If they are fortunate enough to beat A&M, and I'm not putting that past Alabama, they will have been healed up a little bit. This team's probably going to have a little bit of a fire under their belly. We hope fire under their butt. And Alabama and A&M played maybe one or two good teams this year, and they essentially went 1-1 against them. So but you know what? I believe this wholeheartedly. Georgia's going to be the 2 seed. So guess what? If we win the first game, we got to play Georgia again anyway.
That's not a reason not to go to the playoff, though.
No, it's not. I'm just telling you.
That's not a reason to I don't want to play in the playoff. We'll eventually meet up with Georgia, and they'll kill us. First of all, Alabama beat Georgia. Alabama beat that team. That's one thing that in terms of making the pitch to make the playoff, and who knows whether DeBoer or Greg Burns going to have to do it. I don't know who's going to make the pitch, but there needs to be pitches that the committee hears. And the number one pitch is this: Alabama beat that team in Athens in September. Let's not forget that happened. A lot of people want to remind Alabama they lost to Florida State. I want to remind everybody that Alabama beat that very team that crushed Alabama today. Alabama beat them in Athens. So, hey, when one team's when they're 1-1, then they should play a third game to figure it out. And I don't think Alabama should be denied the opportunity for that reason. As to whether they'd have a chance against Texas A&M, I would just say I look forward to seeing this Alabama offense again when it's healthy. They have a better chance to be healthy in 2 to 3 weeks, or I guess it would be about 2 weeks than they were tonight. They'll be healthier, and I want to see what they would look like against a non-Georgia defense, healthier than they were tonight.
Some odds are out for the playoff teams. I'll tell you about them. But how about Aura frames? I know some of y'all are like me, and y'all hadn't done all your Christmas shopping, and by all, I mean none. I've done none of it. But I'm about to change that, and I'm going to get me some Aura frames for people I love. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap. It's a way to share memories. Because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Grandparents, parents, newlyweds, aunts, uncles, anybody who loves photos, girlfriends, boyfriends, side pieces, whatever. Anybody who loves photos, all of them. Packaging comes gift ready, no price tag, no wrapping needed. It's a huge win. For a limited time, save them the perfect gift by going to auraframes.com to get $35 off of Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code COLLEGE. That's all one word because it's only one word, COLLEGE, at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code COLLEGE. The deal is exclusive to listeners of right now, and the frames sell out fast. So order yours now and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout, please. Terms and conditions apply because they apply to everything all the time, just like the playoffs. So the odds are out, Jimmy. I mean they're kind of out. Notre Dame is now minus 1,200 to make it. Alabama minus 300 to make it. Miami of Florida plus 140 to make it. James Madison plus 155 to make it. So Miami and James Madison have about the same chance to make the playoffs.
Well, the Miami and James Madison things are irrelevant to James Madison's irrelevant to Alabama. I mean, what happens with James Madison has 100% to do with what happens to the Virginia Duke game. That has nothing to do with Alabama. But Miami is 100% to do with Alabama because that's an at-large situation. And it shows that the odds still favor Alabama making it over Miami, not by a lot. And again, my point is this. I don't have any confidence in the committee. I expect the committee to put Miami in. I think Alabama should be in based on total resume, not based on what Alabama just looked like, but based on total resume, Alabama should be in. I just do not have the confidence that they will. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
No, I mean, I'm bummed. So I'm gonna say right now, I really want to say it's Alabama and Miami, but I think it's going to be Alabama and Notre Dame. And again, please, nobody say that I'm sitting here begging for Alabama to get in.
Notre Dame on those odds that you just laid out,
minus 1,200.
Okay, so they're in over Alabama, which they should be, and they're actually going to be seeded. The one thing I'm certain of, Alabama flipped with Notre Dame. Okay, that just flipped back. Alabama's going to fall back to 10, certainly. That puts Notre Dame at 9. Now, the question is, will Alabama hang at 10, or will they be passed by Miami, next team up? And the odds makers right now, per FanDuel, no. But I don't have a lot of confidence that that's actually going to be the case, though Alabama should be in at number 10. And if they aren't, and they put Miami there, I'm telling you, Greg Sankey's going to take a flamethrower to the whole system.
And the ACC commissioner doesn't have a flamethrower. He's barely got a Bic lighter. Greg Sankey's got a flamethrower. Dude, it's a big difference.
Yeah, if Duke, like for instance, if Duke wins tonight over Virginia, and they might, Duke's not in. Duke's not in. The ACC is going to freak out, but they could have no teams in at all if Duke beats Virginia. If Duke wins, James Madison gets their spot. And of course, Tulane already has a spot. Tulane's clearly in at 11 or 12, probably, well, depending on whether it's Virginia or James Madison. But again, I just want to reiterate, I don't believe Alabama will be in. I have zero faith in the committee, but I do believe Alabama should be in based on resume.
I think Alabama's in. Rusty 5'8", 5'6", I didn't want to get you 20 spots higher. He says Miami's a better team. Maybe. I'm going to say this. Tell me Miami's got to win over Notre Dame, and that's it. That's it. That's their resume.
Here's my argument, my point about how bad Alabama looked on offense. I don't even want to argue whether Alabama's a better team or whether if they played tomorrow, who would win the game. My point is this: the decision will be made based on resume. Alabama's resume is better than Miami's, even after tonight. Alabama's resume is better. The metrics will be better. The strength of schedule, the strength of record, all that stuff is better. Again, Miami lost to 2 non-top 25 teams and did not even play in their ACC title game.
Correct.
Because Duke qualified and they didn't.
Correct.
To me,
and that's the ACC's fault.
That's Miami not having a good enough resume or case. Now, who would win tomorrow between Alabama and Miami? Well, quite frankly, Rusty, I don't know that I would pick Alabama to beat Eastern Illinois again based on what we saw tonight. But so I get that point. But Alabama's resume is better, in my opinion. And I don't even think it's close. I would put Vanderbilt in over Miami, to be honest, because Vanderbilt didn't have losses to SMU and Louisville. Vanderbilt's losses are at Texas and at Alabama.
Now, I guess the one caveat, and again, we're picking nits because that ain't the debate. Vandy ain't getting in. But Vandy has no good wins either. That's the only other problem.
Yeah, that is an issue for them, though they did play everybody tight and everybody close, and they did play an SEC schedule. But I agree that's a problem for Vanderbilt. But I think Vanderbilt ultimately will miss this by 2 spots, maybe just 1 spot.
Let me say this too. You may be right, and Alabama may not get in. I still believe they will. I still believe we should be in there. I'm not hopeful of what we can do when we get in. I'm just saying I think we should be in there. Now, the thing is, there's a lot of teams. Nobody should be mad that Notre Dame stole a spot or Bama stole a spot or James Madison stole a spot or whatever, because all these teams we're talking about screwed themselves. I mean, Miami screwed themselves losing to a mediocre Louisville team and a mediocre SMU squad. Miami did that to themselves. We did it to ourselves, looking horrible against FSU, getting drummed in the SEC title game, and in between those, we dropped Oklahoma game where we made a lot of mistakes, and that's on us. So I don't think even Notre Dame's got no really good wins. They got USC, if you want to call them a good win, but they've got no really good wins, and they lost to Miami, the best team they played. They lost to them, and they also lost to A&M.
If Notre Dame makes the field, and it looks like they will definitely make the field in EBC to head Alabama, I think Notre Dame makes the semifinals.
I think Notre Dame's very good. I love their running game. And look, I'll tell you something else. If we had Jeremiah Love, he wouldn't look like Jeremiah Love with our team because we don't know how to run the ball.
It's a huge problem, and we'll talk about that when the offseason gets here, and we'll find out tomorrow afternoon. The offseason may arrive tomorrow afternoon. Alabama would obviously be invited to a bowl game, a significant bowl game, even if not making the playoff, and we'll talk about that when it happens, but you'll just hear from us tomorrow on that. But obviously this offseason, Alabama's offense needs a serious makeover as it relates to the run game, because you're not going to have success in this league if that's the run game. It just will not work. I don't care how good the quarterback is.
All right, here's what we're going to do, guys. Normally, we have a podcast early in the morning. Jimmy, I think what we do is we wait till it's announced one way or the other.
I agree. Reaction show following the announcement of the field. Roughly
11:15, 11:20, somewhere in there.
Right.
So it's God's time, Central Time. So appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. We hope it's a little bit cathartic. It was a butt whipping. Congratulations, Georgia. You earned it. There's no excuses. You beat our butt all over the field. I want to make that clear. And so hopefully now we just got we're just left to hope and pray that we get in, and that's what it is. So until tomorrow, and we hope we're happy when we see you next time. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.